Om. Om. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidyadravimam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. Om Bhadram Karne Vishnuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Makshabhirya Jatraha Sthirairangai Stushtvagum Sastanubhi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vridhashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastarsho Arishtademihi Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So I think, Mark, you said we're on the 18th Karika in the 3rd chapter. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Santosh is going to chant for us this morning. Would you help us out?
Okay. Advaitam paramato hi dvaitam tadveda uchyate tesham upayata dvaitam tenayam na virujyate. Non-duality is indeed the ultimate reality. Duality is its effect. The dualists perceive duality both in the absolute and in the phenomenon. Therefore, the non-dualism is a philosophy that does not conflict with the dualist position.
Yes. So the idea here is the dualist, there are many forms of dualism. The materialists, there are separate people, places, things, and conditions. One individual is separate from another individual. The monotheists, which is a dualistic notion. God is the supreme other. The only thing you need to know about God is you're not it. You surrender to, you worship God, and the creation is an effect. And there's still diverse people, places, things, and conditions. The qualified non-dualists, the Visishtadvaitins, will say there is a spark of the divine in every one of us. But you are an individual Purusha spirit. And at some point we'll all merge back into the divine. The Advaita philosophy, the non-dualists, say it's all God. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. And the ground of being, Brahman, never moves. What appears as name and form, seen but not real. How does it come about? Sankalpena, by means of imagination. Now listen carefully. What Gaudapada is saying here, even the non-dual philosophy is an illusion. Discrimination between the real and the unreal, viveka, vairagya, all that sort of stuff, from the standpoint of the absolute illusion. Just imagination, just more ideas. So the person of steady wisdom not only does not believe in the dualistic philosophies of others, but she also doesn't believe in her own philosophy. No idea is real. Only aham is real. So the real non-dualist has no concern with the opinions or the philosophies of others. Now, let's give a worldly example of this. People on the right will say you on the left are in an information bubble, getting fake news. People on the right say to the left say to the people on the right, you're in an information bubble. What you're getting is fake news. They have an idea that somehow there is an absolute truth. The other guys just don't know it, but I know. The enlightened says, Brahma Satyam Jagannathya. So the person of steady wisdom, of course they can have their opinions about politics or social structures. But the Sthita Prajna Purusha, the person of steady wisdom, doesn't take anybody's mind seriously and doesn't take their own mind seriously. So there's never any conflict. Hear somebody, that's an interesting idea. It may be true. But inside, Mithya. Or you hear the opposite idea. Interesting concept. That may be true. Inside. Does that mean we don't do our best to alleviate suffering in the world? It's a question that was asked in the Sargadatta Maharaj. Does that mean you don't care about the suffering in the world? And what Maharaj says, you have no idea how much I care about the suffering in the world. And perhaps the Mahatma's doing more to alleviate suffering than the person protesting. Intending the well-being of everyone. Why? Because it's their nature. Let me give you a worldly example. So, Wendy and I are both foodies. She's a much better foodie than I am. Have you ever cut your finger with a very sharp knife?
Yes.
Do you go, bad finger, bad finger?
No.
What do? You
tape it
Ooh,
up. Yeah. Ouch. 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 Yeah.
Why? Because as an ego, you pervade your body. Do you see that? You, Wendy, the individual, pervade your whole body. So when you cut your finger, you immediately know, oh, my poor finger. So also, when the Stita Prajna Purusha, a person of steady wisdom, sees the suffering in the world, yes, they know it's an illusion, but that's myself over there. It's paradoxical. It's paradoxical. And I always think of beings like Ramana Maharshi or Saint Francis. Gita says the world is not afraid of the person of steady wisdom, nor are they afraid of the world. Oh, but people like Bhagawan, the wild animals would come to him for his darshan. Any thoughts on this?
Kind of unfortunate because these days, whoever you surround yourself with, generally they want you to pick a side.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Just don't take it seriously.
Right.
Just don't take it seriously. There's no reason you can't engage in meaningful dialogue about transactional things. And the paradox is the yogi doesn't get upset about it. Is that helpful?
Mm-hmm.
And never forget, the person who has ideas that you don't agree with is a divine incarnation of God. Oh. All right, next verse.
Maya vidyate heta nanyatam nanyata jam katanchana tatvato vidyamanehi martyatam amritam vrajet. The changeless non-dual Brahman, in fact unborn, appears to undergo modification only on account of illusion of Maya and not de facto. For if this change were real, the immortal Brahman would become mortal.
Yes, yes. So, various classic images. If Wendy goes into the bathroom and looks in the mirror, there's an attractive young woman. And if I go into the bathroom and look in the mirror, there's an gnarly old man. Has the mirror undergone a change? No. It is its nature to reflect. Now, our metaphor falls short because there needs to be an external object to reflect in the mirror. Consciousness, we need no external object. The spatika, the crystal, if I bring out the crystal ball, you look at the crystal ball, what is it? Spatika ghanam. It's a homogeneous mass of quartz crystal. It's stone. Yet you see images in it. Does the stone undergo a change? No. So always understanding what's real. And listen carefully. The reality is where bhava is, where sentience, where life undergoes no change ever. Now, what he's pushing back against is that Dharmakanda portion of the Vedas that put forward the doctrine of reincarnation. I'm a transmigrating soul, and I'm going to evolve through incarnations, and then I get liberated, and then I become one with Brahman. I like to say that is like Newtonian physics. For those people who are identified with the body or the subtle body, it's a very good paradigm. But just like in physics, we go to astrophysics, we find Newtonian physics falls apart. We go to quantum physics and it just dissolves. So, different definition of reality. So when it comes to vyavahara, transactions, we always have to know from which level we're talking. Do gas cars pollute the environment more than electric cars? I suppose so. But does any of it change? And that means the self in everybody is just fine. If you're just fine, so is everybody else. The suffering is like a very long and very vivid dream. Does not touch the reality. Next verse.
Ajatasya bhavasya jatim icchanti vadinah ajato yamrato bhavo matyatam katameshyati. The dualists contend that the ever unborn and the eternally changeless Atman is born, in other words, undergoes a change. How could a positive entity, which is itself changeless and immortal, become mortal?
Yes. So the doctrine of the individual jiva undergoing a change and merging with Brahman, undergoing an ontological change, a change in being, in the end becomes irrational. You cannot posit that Brahman is the same yesterday, today, and forever. You cannot posit that the ultimate essence of the Atman is what Brahman is, and say that it evolves and changes. It's a contradiction. So, what appears to be change and evolution is not de facto
But what is de facto?
a fact, real, happening. It's only an illusion. It's like hypnotism. If you go to Las Vegas and the stage hypnotist hypnotizes you and makes you think you're a chicken, you may run around the stage squawking. He brings you out of the hypnotic trance. Oh my God, that was so weird. I was sure I was a chicken. Did the person ever become a chicken? Did they?
No.
They sure thought they were. And we have mini Maya. Every night we have a dream. If you have a dream, you have a dream body with a dream ego, and there's a dream world and dream thoughts and feelings. And to the dreamer, it seems very real. You only discern its unreality after you wake up. So remember our definition of reality with a big capital R. That which is never subject to negation. What happens when you wake up? The dream and the dreamer are negated. Poof, they're gone. When are you ever not you? Now, the awakened mind is a subtle shift. The shift from the dream state to the waking state is a gross shift. Have you ever been deep in a dream and your alarm goes off and you wake up? Who's had that experience? Away! Total shift in your experience. The shift between Ankriti, I think I'm a person, or to use Gautapada's term, Jiva Bhavana, the deeply rooted conviction that I'm my body, I'm a person. And this knowledge in the mind, oh no, I'm not a person. I never was. I'm Chidakash, the space of pure awareness. Where did the person go? It was there a minute ago. You didn't evolve into the self. You didn't attain the self. You didn't become the self. But that hypnotic event called Jiva Bhavana, the attitude or feeling that I'm a person, it's gone. Just like the dreamer is gone. You wake up. There's no change in who or what we are, but there's a profound change in our understanding of who we are. Not just indirect, paroksha jnana, based on direct experience. What's that direct experience? We thin the mind, dhanu manasa, and this introversion of the attentive faculty. Was it with you that we went through that just this past week?
Mhm.
Yeah. in Tripurarahasya. And in the space between the thoughts, with the attention turned within, when the mind turned back on its source. That assumed self, a phony self, doesn't merge. It is seen, it's gone. Just like the dreamer is gone when you wake up. Instead, when you investigate, I Chidanandarupaham Shivoham Shivo. My nature is bliss consciousness. I am Shiva. I am auspicious. Now, this is a very important point. At the moment of realization, the insight is not, I'm a realized person. Now you got to do what I tell you and touch my feet in the meantime. That's another stupid ego state. Who is it who thinks he's realized? Don't try to be a realized person. Give up all thoughts of being a person. You are not a person. Tatvamasi, you are that. Brahman. Big difference. Do you have a question?
No.
Oh, okay. Next verse.
Nabhavat yamritam martyam namartyam amritam tata prakriteranyatha bhavo nakatanchid bhavishyati. The immortal cannot become mortal, nor can the mortal become immortal, for it is never possible for anything to change itself in its essential nature and yet remain the same.
Yes. So I go through my jewelry box and I have all these pieces of broken gold jewelry, shirt studs, things like that that had belonged to my grandfather. So I go up to Piedmont Avenue and there's a jeweler up there. And I say, will you take all this gold? And what I'd like you to do is make me a really nice gold ring with it. How long will that take? Oh, 3 weeks. Okay. So I leave the stuff with it. I come back in 3 weeks. And is my ring ready? He says, oh, yes. It brings out a little jewel box. And he opens the box. And there's a gorgeous silver ring. Now, wait a minute. I gave you a whole bunch of gold. It was 24 karat gold. Oh, no, no, no. When you make a ring, the gold turns to silver. Is that what happens? No. If it's shirt studs or cufflinks, whatever you make the gold out, the gold never leaves its swabha, its essential nature. All that changes is form. Likewise, if the self is essentially finite, and this is an important point. If you think yourself is an individual and finite with character flaws, with kleshas, then your solution is to fix yourself. Now, there's a paradox here. Obviously, in the early stages of our practice, we engage in purification of the inner equipment to attain a sattvic mind, chitta shuddhi, purity of mind. But that's the preliminary practice. The profound shift comes when you see you're not a person at all. You don't become Brahman. You realize what you've always been, what you've always had. Does anybody see my glasses? I've looked everywhere for my glasses. Do you have my glasses? I don't know. I don't know where they are. Oh, there they are. Had I lost my glasses?
No.
Well, yes and no.
Yeah, you thought you.
I did not know my glasses were on my forehead. They were not gone. Likewise, for the mind in ignorance, self is still there. You never doubt that you are. You never doubt that you shine as awareness. Are you doing it? Oh, just miserable. I'm anxious. Oh, I'm so sorry. Do you exist? What a stupid question. Of course I exist. What's your existence like? I just told you. I'm anxious. Do you know your anxiety? Oh, let me tell you all about it. I am. I know. No one ever doubts that. It's just adhyasa. I superimpose upon the self all sorts of nonsense. Primarily, thought that I'm the body. That's the root. Now, especially those of us who come from the West, we're not so deeply bound to the idea of the doctrine of reincarnation. Swamiji used to say, reincarnation is the genealogy of the ghost in the post. If you think the ghost, that the Sanskrit is Purusha Sthanam, the person in the post. You think there's a person in the lamppost, oh, it's a mugger. Oh, it's terrible. He probably comes from a dysfunctional family. Abused as a child. But his father was probably abused as a child too. And then the grandfather, just terrible people, all of them. That's why the mugger's there in the lamppost. And then a car comes and you see there's nothing there. It's a shadow. That's reincarnation. It has a useful relative reality as long as you think the person is real. Gaudapada is thundering is the doctrine of ajati. The self is not born. The self does not change. The self doesn't need to be fixed. You don't need to become a perfect person. world is the world. The play of the world is the play of the world. You are a sangha, completely unattached. Now listen carefully. This is not a rationalization for bad behavior. And there are those people who may have had a samadhi, not judging, but who see the fundamental unreality of the body. Then they get re-identified. I'm something special. I'm not like other people. I'm realized. And then they engage in all sorts of selfish behavior. Hurting other people. Oh, it's just an illusion. All sorts of indulgences. Oh, it's just an illusion. And at one level, it's true. But listen very, very carefully. Remember our definition of dharma, the essence of a thing, the nature of a thing, without which it would not be the thing that it is. The dharma of the body is karma. So, from the standpoint of the absolute, which is more real, the pleasant dream or the nightmare?
The same.
But when you're in the nightmare, it's still painful. So ideally, the yogi has developed the sanskaras of good behavior. So when realization dawns on the mind, they know I am Brahman. They put the body on automatic pilot, let it do its thing. It has the inertia of goodness and kindness. It has this deeply rooted sense of being one with everything. But there are foolish people who still have a lot of defilements. And then they rationalize it's not real. And they scream and yell at people, and they do and say hurtful things. Indulge in the world. And all you got to do is watch. Does that person look like a happy camper? So we're going to be very careful not to fool ourselves. Any thoughts on this?
So what happens to the realized mind at death?
Well, that's a good question. Some people say when the physical body dies, it dissolves into the gross elements. The subtle body dissolves into the subtle elements. There's nothing left. Others would say because of the desires of people in the body, that subtle essences of a Mahatma remain. For example, many people still would consider themselves disciples of Shirdi Sai Baba. They talk to him, they get communication from him. Is he still around helping people? Babaji, for example, a lot of people tune into Babaji. Is there a subtle essence that remains? The mark of the man of steady wisdom or the woman of steady wisdom, they don't give a damn one way or the other. What if it's going to be just like this for the rest of eternity? How are you going to be with what is? Detach and keep your heart open. So I would say a mark of real wisdom is the answer to that question doesn't concern us anymore. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
We have what the scriptures say. Maybe they're not telling the truth. In the end, videha moksha, liberation beyond the body, and jivan moksha, liberated while here in the body, are the same thing. The mark of the person of steady wisdom is they know they're not the body. So whether the body is dissolved or the body continues to flop around makes no difference. Gross or subtle. Was that useful?
Mhm.
Next verse.
स्वभावेनामृतो यस्य भावो गच्छति मर्त्यताम् कृतकेनामृतस्तस्य कथं स्थास्यति निश्चलः. How can he who believes that the essential immortal entity becomes mortal maintain at once that the immortal, after a modification, retains its own essential nature of immutability?
Yeah. So it's illogical to think that something that is essentially finite and defiled, called the human person, evolves into something. So it's not an ontological problem. Myself does not need to be fixed. My problem is I think I am this finite body or the finite subtle body. If I'm imprisoned in a dream, the solution is not for the waker to get out of prison. And even if in your dream somebody opens the prison door, you're still in a dream. Wake up. You are untouched. Next, the Karika.
Bhutato bhutato vapi srijyamane samashruti nishchitam yukti yuktam cha yat tad bhavati netarat. Both the views that the creation is real and that it is unreal have been equally emphasized in the Shruti. That which is supported by the Shruti declarations and corroborated by reason alone is the acceptable truth and not otherwise.
So we have this apparent tension. He's summing up the idea. We have the teaching that the universe is real. We have all these creation myths, the churning of the Milky Ocean, yada, yada, yada. All these things about the reality of devas and asuras and the various gods. All these are tools to help the identified purify their minds so they can wake up, see the fundamental unreality of all phenomena without exception. Any thoughts? Well, how do I know if I should be doing bhakti yoga, worshiping God? How do I know if I should be doing karma yoga, selfless service? How do I know whether or not I should be endeavoring to gain the qualities of a adhikari, fit student? How do I know if I should be practicing the yamas and niyamas of Raja Yoga? Krishna gives us an answer in Gita. Arjuna says, which is better, to worship the self with a form or to worship the self in its formless nature? Meaning, do I identify as a person and do these practices that I've enumerated? Or do I drop all personal sense of God, drop the personal sense of self? Krishna's answer is these two paths are available. However, it is very difficult for the embodied to worship the Lord in his formless nature. For them, it's better to worship the Lord with a form. Embodied here doesn't mean, oh, I've got a physical body. Non-dualism is not available to me. I've got to do that after I die. Doesn't mean that. It means when I'm identified with the body, then these various practices of purification are not only beneficial, but necessary. Until the mind is pure enough to effectively engage in Atma Vichara, inquiry into the nature of the self. So they're to be done sequentially. Wendy criticized my lentil soup. Flavor was good, but the pieces of onion were too big. Remember when you said that?
Yes.
Well, it's hard for me to chop onions being a blind guy with a dull knife. So what did you do?
I sharpened your knife.
Yeah. Now you could sit there and sharpen knives all day long, and it's still not going to chop onions into fine little pieces.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got to do after you sharpen the knife?
Chop the onion.
So, bhakti yoga, karma yoga, becoming adhikari, practicing yamas and niyamas. All of this is sharpening the wonder sword of knowledge that Manjushri has. But then, what do we slice? Discriminate between the self and the not-self. Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya. Brahman alone is real. The phenomenal world is Mithya, illusory. Koham, who am I? Aham Brahmasmi. And what's this world? It's not solid, concrete, real, inherently joy-giving or misery-producing. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. All this is verily just Brahman. It appears by means of imagination. There's two layers of imagination going on. The first is Ishvara's imagination. You as an individual did not create the Andromeda galaxy. It was going along just fine before humans were here. But if you like something or dislike something, or think this is just and that's unjust, or this is right and that is wrong. That's your superimposition on Ishwara's superimposition. We not only have to remove our opinions about everything, but then let go of the idea that the world is real. All it is a deeply held, strong habit. And if this text does nothing more than to shape your foundational belief in the reality of the world, it's done its job. Ultimately, the aparoksha jnana, the direct knowledge, comes in deep meditation and is the result of vairagya, intense detachment and dispassion. Next karika.
Neha naneti chamnaya dindro maya bhirityapi ajayamano bahuda maya jayate stusaha. Through such scriptural passages as there is no multiplicity in this, Indra through Maya, and so on, we know that the Atman through unborn appears verily to have become many only through Maya.
Yes. So, as every good Vedantic philosopher does, when they put forward an idea, they footnote it. So, this is a footnote. He's been putting forward, explicating the doctrine of a jati, unborn, and he says, and this philosophy comes from scripture. Here you are. Always. Next one.
Sambhutera pavadacha sambhava pratishidyate konvenam janayed iti karanam pratishidyate. Again, by the negation of the creation, sambhuti, the creation is refuted. Causality in Atman is denied again by such a statement as, who can cause it to pass into birth?
So again, here he's still footnoting that the creation never comes into real existence. The individuality never comes into real existence. For example, when you have a dream, which is more real? Your dream body with you as the locus of perception of the dream, or the dream world out there? Neither is real. Seen, experience. So if you clearly understand the dream state, it goes back to what we had in the second chapter. Remember, first chapter says 3 mind states: waking, dream, deep sleep, uma. And then there's the turiya, the fourth, which is not another mind state. It's the consciousness in which mind states occur. And in the second chapter, he basically says, well, actually, we only have 2 mind states: deep sleep and dream. You got the nighttime dream, you got the daytime dream. And in the fourth Karika, in the second chapter, that outrageous statement: the phenomenal world is quite unreal, and the proof of its unreality is that you can see it. If it is seeable, cognizable, knowable, it is nitya. only the subject is real. Next.
स एष नेति नेतीति व्याख्यातं निनुते यतः सर्वमग्राह्य भावेन हेतुनाजं प्रकाशते. On account of the incomprehensibility of the Atman, Scripture negates in such passages as it is not this, not this, all dualistic ideas that have been described as the means for the attainment of the Atman. Therefore, the birthless or the unborn Atman alone exists, not the duality.
Yeah, so neti, neti, not iti, not this, not this. We never say just neti. And we don't go neti, neti, neti. Three. It's always neti, neti. Why? This goes back to the paradigm we got in the first chapter. Microcosm, macrocosm. We have to do 2 layers of dimension. What we're doing is answering 2 questions. Who am I? What is this world? So what do we do for the individual, the microcosm? I am not the body, I am not the prana, I'm not the feelings, I'm not the thoughts, I'm not the karta, the ego sense, I'm not the deep sleep ignorance. Goham, who am I? Sakshi, the witness of it all. Then from the standpoint of the macrocosm, it's not all the objects, the phenomena, the jagat. It's not the total mind, the hiranyagarbha. It's not Ishvara, the total vasana. It is consciousness, which is the substratum of the whole universe. Brahman. That Atman and that Brahman, they are the same thing. That Atman, which is Brahman. Vijnana Ganam is the term we got in the 7th mantra. A homogeneous mass of consciousness. Just like the crystal bowl is spatika Ganam, a homogeneous mass of stone, no matter what's reflected in it. It is sthita. It's still established, unchanging. So also, that's the substratum of all of this. Next, Karika.
Sato hi mayaya janma yujyate natu tatvatah tatvato jayate yasya jatam tasya hi jayate. That which is ever existent appears to pass into birth through delusion alone. It is not true from the standpoint of reality. Those who, believing that this passing into birth is real, assert in fact that what is born alone is born again, regressio ad infinitum.
Yeah. So all of the things we get so involved with, what's your horoscope? Oh, the moon is in Emeryville this month. All these things are going to happen. We all get all involved in this. What's your sign? Have you had past life regression? Well, we have modern forms of this. Oh, have you really examined your childhood trauma? Do you have PTSD? It's the same idea. Oh, I got burned at the stake in a prior life. That's why I don't like fire. Or I'm being punished for being such a terrible king in another life. What I find so interesting. Normally, when you go to a psychic and get a past life reading, you're like a prince or a princess or a saint here or some powerful warrior there. Nobody ever gets told, oh, yeah, you were a janitor in the pyramid. Somebody had to do
A latrine cleaner.
what?
A latrine cleaner in the medieval. So.
It's very funny. All those things about prior experiences. Again, it's simple to understand if you go to the dream state. You have the progression of events for the dreamer. Who had a dream recently that they remember?
Yeah, I don't. I can't remember dreams, but I don't.
I had one this morning. So it was something about there was this household, this community I was living with, and somebody else was in the room that was supposed to be mine. But there was cause and effect and progression in the dream.
It's interesting. Even if it makes no sense, it's still cause and effect and progression. Yes. Even if it's not normal.
And it only doesn't make sense from the standpoint of the waker.
Right.
It makes perfect sense when you're in it.
And you never question.
Yeah, it's like flying dreams. Who's had flying dreams?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there is an ability to fly in your dream, cause and effect. And it seems very real. So we're not saying we don't experience cause and effect. Of course we do. But what the scripture is thundering is seen, but not real. So we have two classic metaphors for adhyasa, superimposition. Snake in the rope, mirage waters in the desert. Snake in the rope is like nirvikalpa samadhi. When you apprehend the rope, the substratum, the snake is not available for perception. When you awaken from the dream is no longer available. In samadhi, when the mind is stopped, the individual self and the world perceived by it are gone. Only aham remains. But in mirage waters in the desert, when you're in the state of ignorance, your perception is water and your knowledge is water. When you understand that it's a mirage, it still looks like water, but your knowledge is sand. So that's like what we call sahaja samadhi, natural or continuous samadhi. So the person of steady wisdom sees the same world as everybody else. Cars going up and down Grand Avenue, the sky is overcast. I think we'll go to Ensaro for lunch. But their knowledge is all this is For the person driving through the desert, when they see the mirage and their knowledge is water, they stop the car. They're afraid they're going to get flooded. When they know it's just heat waves off the desert, they keep driving. The fear is gone. Person in ignorance sees a world of name and form. And I am frightened because I am not successful, or I am not loved, or I am not having my politics actualized. I am not good enough, or I am the best. I am smarter than everybody else, or we're going to get the other side. All just nonsense. But for the Stita Prajna Purusha, just a light show. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. It's all.
You don't even have to be in samadhi for the world to disappear. It happens in this world is gone when you're dreaming.
And in deep sleep.
Yeah.
But the highest state is not deep sleep. It doesn't free anybody.
Mhm.
But if you analyze deep sleep, then you see your perception world. You're absolutely right. Completely dependent on the functioning of the mind. All right, next Kali.
Asato mayaya janma tatvato naiva yujyate vandya putro na tatvena mayaya vapi jayate. The unreal cannot be born either really or through delusion, for the son of a barren woman is neither born de facto nor through delusion.
So, if it's imagination, like the child of a barren woman,
What is barren woman?
that she can't have babies. So if a woman, let's say she's had a hysterectomy, she can't have babies anymore. Oh, my mother, she had a hysterectomy 5 years before I was born. Can't have it. The other one they say is the horns of the hare or the rabbit. Rabbits don't have horns. Once upon a time, there was a princess who was never born, who lived in a palace who was never built, surrounded by a deep moat that had no water in it. And then there was a prince who didn't exist. He came to the foot of the tower of the palace and said, "Let down your hair," but she was bald. So he climbed up the hair of the princess who was bald. And there, when he got inside, he gave her a big kiss, which was very difficult because he had no mouth. Now, these exist as imaginations, but they're not real.
So he's saying that everything we've ever known about the universe is as real as the son of a barren woman.
Yeah. I'm rereading The Wheel of Time. I guess now they have it on a series on television.
Yeah.
Wonderful yarn.
Yeah.
Whole world is created. All an imagination. This is no different. So I'm in the early part of the book, and Tam and Rand have come back to Emmons Field, and it's all smoking and in ashes. Oh. Did Emmons Field really get burnt up? But it's a nice yarn. Seen, but not real. So we always need to know from what level we're talking. Again, this does not mean you move through the world and so loses their visa and is deported. You don't say to them, oh, let go of it, it's unreal. No, you act appropriately. Oh, I'm so sorry. Is there anything I can do? But inside, you know, they're fine. They're going to be okay. It's just a very long and very vivid dream. Maybe going through a nightmare right now. But the self in them is untouched. You may go online and look at your 401k. You're not going to be cast into some abyss. Nothing's going to harm you. You're fine. Now, doesn't mean we don't take action. The dharma of the body is karma. At the level of the body, in the dream. Trust God, but tether your camel, as the Sufis say. And you still have no idea what the outcome will be. Do your best, let God have the rest. Okay, we'll end here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.